I lived with mental illness from probably the time I was in fifth grade. Lived with it untreated. I had what I would say wasn't the best young experience living life, and I wasn't diagnosed until after my first son was born. And I have a whole variety of illnesses that I live with very successfully. But I'm very passionate about mental health, and I try to talk about it as much as I can and educate not only my friends, but the people I come into contact with. They learn that I work in mental health, and they'll ask me questions, and of course I always tell them a little bit about me and who I am. And I have two children, a 19-year-old son and a 16-year-old daughter, and both of them were diagnosed. My daughter has been hospitalized for her mental illness, and it's difficult. It's a rough road, and it's a roller coaster of ups and downs. And you think you're in the clear, and then something always comes up, and it's always a struggle. And but it's life, and it's what we live with, and so we manage the best we can. And there's good things to do, and there's bad things to do. So I always encourage the people I come into contact with that they need to live healthy and do what they can to be as healthy as they can for as long as they can. And so I kind of live that. It's good. I grew up, I was not a very happy child, and I tell people I kind of lived in shades of gray. I never really experienced much joy, happiness. I had a lot of I can't even say it. I had a lot of irritability and very moody. I was very moody, very difficult. I excelled in school, and I was a perfectionist, and I think that I created a lot of internal stress. So I struggled actually with depression and an eating disorder that was pretty significant, and I have OCD issues now to this day. And but it wasn't until after my son was born that I experienced pretty severe postpartum depression, and everything kind of falls into place, goes hand in hand, and you find out what's going on. And so at that point, I got into treatment, and very successfully. And so now I'm doing really well. And, do I still have my issues? Absolutely. But we all have issues. And, I tell people I have depression, but I'm not depressed. I'm the most energetic, upbeat person in the whole wide world. But there's lots of things that we deal with. So, now I see things in color. That's a good thing. I'll tell people that's after I started feeling better, I knew, the world got colorful. So I'm very much into color, and I like color, and I buy colorful. I run, and I buy the most colorful running shoes I can find, and I buy everything that's colored as clothing and things like that, just because it's more fun, because I didn't experience it very much when I was growing up. I think as a community we provide support to people that are really struggling, and while it's individuals, and there's individuals surrounding us throughout our life, and it's not always people that have a diagnosable mental illness, but it's people who just struggle. And I think as a community, if we're just aware that we all experience emotions, we all experience difficult times, and we all have good days and bad days, and if we have compassion and we use we go back to what it's like to be human, and the human touch and a smile, and what that means to try to value somebody. I think as a community, if we just start recognizing that there's people surrounding us who need support, and the more we can support the people around us, then I think the healthier that we'll all become, because it feels good to give of ourselves, but it also feels good when we know that someone else is doing well and is helping other people. I say it all goes back to the culture of the sidewalk, and it's meeting and greeting people and not being afraid to say hello to somebody and to go up to somebody that you see might be having a difficult time. I think the world has gotten very much involved in the rush of society and the busyness of society, that sometimes we don't take time to appreciate little things, nature, other people, the human touch, a smile. And that's all stuff that's very important, and we need it to thrive and grow. So go back to thinking what it's like to have neighbors that you want to learn about. And so really it's kind of that culture of the sidewalks. Go spend a little bit of time outside and get to know the people around you. If you're in a work environment, spend a little bit of time getting to know who are the people that you're working with. Learn about a little bit about their personal lives, not just, there's an environment of support, and celebrate birthdays and celebrate fun things, not just, worry about someone when they're having a difficult time, but really celebrate the joys that they have in their life. I think the more we can educate people on just how to be compassionate is kind of the answer. It's not going to fix all of the problems and it's not going to make it go away, but I think that the more we can support other people and we teach people to support others, that will make a bigger impact on people that have mental illnesses. We need to prioritize mental health, health in general, and we need to promote, I think a lot of times policymakers focus on negatives, not that obesity isn't a very negative thing, and not to say that smoking is a very negative thing, but we need to start focusing on healthy lifestyles. Policymakers need to prioritize wellness in work environments, wellness in general at schools. A lot of schools now are doing away with recess and they're trying to promote healthy eating and all of that, but it's the kids being outside, running around and playing with each other and getting fresh air. That's all part of being a healthy person. And I think that if as policymakers, if they start valuing what it takes to be a healthy individual and promoting a lot of those positive things, that's going to make a difference. Funding should be a priority as well. I think that there's a lot of people struggling out there who can't they don't have access to health care. I grew up in an environment we did not have health insurance, so we didn't go to the doctor. And that's part of the issue why I didn't get diagnosed or treated, because we couldn't afford it. We couldn't even afford to go to the doctor to say, something's wrong. So you kind of turn a blind eye to it and you just muddle through. And so I think that understanding that people need to have access to not only good doctors, but they need to have access to the programs and services that are going to work for them. Counseling is a luxury, a lot of people think, but everybody could benefit from having somebody to listen to and share their experiences with. And so recognizing that dealing with stress should be a priority, I think.